Is a role model for students both in the classroom and in extracurricular activities, such as NHS and varsity volleyball. Madison is as caring and thoughtful and impressive as a person as she is an athlete. She makes being a teacher very enjoyable. From Ms. Gittens. Madison is the host of President this year. She initiated new activities, outreach opportunities for the students. She leads by example, is always respectful, and an extremely hard worker. From Nurse Thornhill. Madison is truly a coach's dream. She comes into practice ready to get better every day, holds others accountable, competes with everything she has, and a yes ma'am attitude that you don't see as much anymore. Madison allowed me as a coach to come in and coach her at a different level than her peers because she knew I could see the full potential in her even on hard days. She also understood and was ready to be a leader and dominant force here at Gunter. My most favorite thing about Madison is the way she could read me. She made me check my emotions, face, and energy when it was off, and I appreciate that very much because we all know we show how overwhelmed we can be, and that should come off to our athletes. She was a rock on our team and myself throughout the whole season, and she truly deserves to be recognized as this award winner. Congratulations, Madison. Now we'll go on to the middle school students. So, Mr. Martindale and the board, I have the pleasure of recognizing Georgia Moto for the Fall Superintendent Award. Georgia is an exceptional 5th grade student who is well loved by her teachers and peers. Ms. Bond nominated her for this award. She said, "Every teacher needs a student in class whose sweet, quiet spirit can bring order to the chaos. A student who is conscientious, you know she is taking care of her business and her learning. A student who is always kind and helpful to anyone in need. A student whose smile makes you want to smile when you see her. Every teacher needs a Georgia." Miss Reed, her reading teacher, had this to say, "Georgia is such a delight to have in class. She comes to school daily with a smile and she excels academically. In addition to being a great student, she is also a great friend to her peers. She is always helpful and kind. Her hard work, passion for learning, and desire to do well is why she is deserving of the GISD Superintendent Award." Ms. Badillo said, "Georgia is a joy to have in class. She always puts a ton of effort into her work and she helps others. She's always smiling and is so kind and respectful and a great friend to everyone." Lastly, Ms. Huff said, "Georgia is kind, hardworking, always present, ready to do her best. She is helpful to her friends and teachers whenever needed, and I'm so privileged to have her in class. What I notice most about Georgia is her smile and her infectious spirit. She is quiet and kind and always has a sweet thing to say to anyone she meets. She leads by example and shows what great character can be achieved by being nice. Georgia exemplifies all of our leadership qualities here at Gunter Middle School, and we're so excited to see what the future holds for her." Great job, Georgia. Wait, you have to take a picture.
I know you don't take a picture.
All right, guys. So now I have the pleasure of recognizing Bo Martin for the Fall Superintendent Award. Bo is an exceptional 7th grade student who is well loved by his teachers and peers. He has many incredible qualities, but his friends describe him as hardworking, kind, and loyal. I emailed, this is not on the paper, but I emailed Miss Martin to ask her to share some things about Bo, so this is what she had to say. "When I asked our family to describe Bo, every one of them used the word courageous. E.E. Cummings said it best when he said, "It takes courage to grow up and become who you really are." What most people will not, sorry guys, get a little emotional. What most people will not know is that you grew up more than most of us ever had to do in your first 8 years of life. In a world where you would have had any reason and excuse to be harsh or mad, you have chosen the exact opposite. Bo Davin, you are brave, smart, strong, and most definitely courageous. You have seen the darkest sides of this life and still choose to be kind, hopeful, and so loving. From a quiet kid who always wore his hoodie to cover his eyes and his head down, you have grown into a young man that stands tall, smiles big, remembers people's names, sees them for their good, and encourages them. Your boldness to keep going is a testimony to all of us. Your hard work is paying off. Keep at it. Your life is one of the greatest gifts and sweetest joys. We're so proud of you and love you so much. Sorry, that's not the whole letter. There's so much more. I gotta say what your teacher said real fast. Okay, so Coach Parker and Ms. Clemmer are the ones that nominated Bo for this award. They said, "Bo is the perfect student. He takes everything he does seriously and is a great role model for other students in class. He is a friend and always ready to help and offer words of kindness. He is diligent with his work and continually gives 100%. Bo is always respectful to teachers and students alike, and he comes prepared every day. He's truly a blessing." Ms. Hogan, our counselor, said, "Bo is always well-mannered and a friend to all. He's eager to help when needed, and his positive attitude is courageous among his peers and staff." Coach McDaniel said, "Bo is a sweet, quiet kid. His classmates think very highly of him. He does a good job with the science material and participating in class discussions." Ms. Colvin, our assistant principal, said, "There are so many wonderful things that I could say about Bo. I had the pleasure of being one of his 4th grade teachers and now get to see him at the middle school. It's been such a blessing to watch him grow over the last few years. Bo is resilient, quiet, and kind. He always has been. He's respectful in all situations, even when others are not. He's a silent leader, and it makes an impact on all around him on a daily basis. When he was in the 4th grade, he won the Student of the Year award." And I think this is such a great story and testament to Bo. "He and I were seated towards the back of the cafeteria, and when his name was called, he immediately looked over at me. 'Did she just call my name?' he said, tears welling up in his eyes. I proudly looked at him and said, 'Yes, you deserve it.' And he ran up to get his award. When he came back, he hugged me and he said, 'I can't believe I won. There are so many other kids that should have gotten it.' His words in that moment are a shining example of how he seems to always place others ahead of himself. And he is humble to his core. Bo is a treasure, and we're honored to be part of his journey." Thanks, Bo. That's it now.
Distinguished Gunner ISD board members and Mr. Martindale, it's a pleasure to introduce Jackson Wyant, an exemplary 4th grade student at Gunner Elementary. Jackson is the son of Brandon and Lisa Wyant, with a sister Whitley and beloved dog Sunny. Jackson's teachers describe him as a kind, hardworking, and engaged student who consistently goes above and beyond in everything he does. Mrs. Ripamani noted that Jackson sets a positive example by always including others, whether during group work or on the playground. He shows genuine kindness and respect to both peers and teachers. Jackson comes to class each day ready to learn and fully engaged with a positive attitude that lifts those around him. His teachers have also praised his self-motivation, integrity, and sense of responsibility, as well as his impressive organizational skills. Jackson leads by example, showing a maturity that sets him apart and makes him a valuable member of the classroom community. Outside of academics, Jackson is passionate about sports, especially football and basketball, and enjoys a friendly game of Foursquare with his friends. He also loves playing Madden, often choosing the Baltimore Ravens as his team. At school, Jackson's favorite subject is science, where he enjoys hands-on experiments and he appreciates social studies projects like his current work on Native American tribes of Texas. This year, Jackson has set personal goals, including doing his best on the STAR test and winning the basketball championship with his team this winter. Looking forward, he dreams of one day playing in the NFL, imagining the excitement of seeing his own jersey and football cards. Jackson brings a positive energy to Gunner Elementary every day. His commitment to learning, integrity, and kindness make him a model student, and we are proud to recognize him as an exceptional Gunner Tiger. We look forward to seeing all the amazing things he will accomplish in the future. Next, it is an honor to introduce Dylan Balderas, a third grade student. Dylan is a third grade student with a heart of gold and a truly inspiring spirit. Dylan is the son of David and Mita, and has an older brother, Brian, and sister, Brandy, who is in the 6th grade. Dylan's teachers, Mrs. Pelzel and Mrs. Foster, describe him as caring, hardworking, and kind student who genuinely thinks about how to help others every day. Dylan and his friends have a foodie club, a couple foodie clubs actually, where they bond over their love of different cuisines, sharing their thoughts on a variety of dishes and culinary creations. Outside of school, Dylan also enjoys practicing sports like basketball, soccer, and football, and he's dedicated to improving his skills. Dylan is also proud to be open about his dyslexia, which he embraces as part of his learning journey. His resilience shines as he works diligently on reading with the Lexia program in Mrs. Dorsey's class, setting an example for his classmates through his determination and growth mindset. In school, Dylan's favorite subject is science, especially STEM Fridays, where he gets to dive into hands-on learning and experiments. Mrs. Pelzel inspires him in math and science, helping him gain confidence, and he's currently working on mastering multiplication. Dylan is known for his kindness and thoughtfulness. He always lends a hand when friends need help, such as assisting his friend Andy if he drops something, and he loves to make or give gifts to show he cares. His teachers shared that Dylan dreams of becoming a firefighter one day to help others, a reflection of his big heart and strong sense of responsibility. We are very proud of Dylan and know he has a bright future ahead. He is a joy to have at Gunner Elementary, and it is our pleasure to recognize him for his hard work, kindness, and commitment to learning. Dylan truly embodies the Gunner Tiger spirit, and we look forward to seeing all that he will achieve.
Now staff. Mr. Martindale and board, it's my privilege to announce Mr. Asa Thornhill as the recipient of the Superintendent Honor Award. Mr. Thornhill graduated from Gunner High School in 1998 and earned his bachelor's degree from Southeastern Oklahoma State University. This is his 21st year of teaching social studies. Mr. Thornhill states, "I chose teaching because I love learning and hope to share that with my students. I had great teachers at Gunner, and I hope to play a part in that legacy." About Mr. Thornhill from your colleagues. I hear students all the time talking about the fun activities that he creates for his students to learn in U.S. history and government. There is always a buzz about his classes and how fun they are. From Mr. E. Asa is a colleague you can rely on. He's always there to lend a hand, whether it's helping with lesson planning, sharing resources, or offering encouragement. His support makes a difference for both staff and students. From Coach Grant. Asa goes above and beyond to support students academically and emotionally. He is deeply committed to seeing each student succeed and provide individualized attention that helps students feel valued and understood. From Mr. Barton. Thank you so much for all you do, Mr. Barton.
I said, the same way. You have to stay up here till they're all done.
All right, and for the middle school, I have the pleasure of recognizing Price Farrell. Mr. Farrell is the husband to Reagan and father to Eli, Witten, and Beckham. He is a graduate of Gunner High School and a product of this wonderful ISD. Mr. Farrell is a passionate 8th grade U.S. history teacher known for his engaging lessons, playful sense of humor, and unwavering commitment to his students. While he's a master of history, his real talent lies in building meaningful relationships with students and their families, creating a classroom environment where kids feel safe, valued, and inspired to learn. Whether he's cracking a joke or leading a thoughtful discussion, Mr. Farrell goes above and beyond to make sure his students are engaged and excited to learn about the past. We do try to fire him like every day, though. So.
3 years ago, still here. Still here.
3 years now, it just keeps coming.
This is the Perseverance Award, really.
Really stuck with it. When he's not teaching, Mr. Farrell brings his talents to the sidelines as the voice of the Gunner Tigers. His energy and enthusiasm during game announcements keep the whole school community fired up. He takes this role very seriously, as he does everything, because he genuinely cares about the students, their success, and the entire Gunner community. His colleague, Mrs. Ferguson, had this to say about him.
She loves
Mr. Farrell shows up to GMS every day on a mission to serve others. Not only is he willing to help, but he actively seeks out ways to support students and staff. He does all this on minimal sleep, as a dad to a newborn, dressed to the nines, and always with a word to make you laugh or smile. I couldn't imagine GMS without him. Ms. Colvin, who leads FCA with him, said this: Price Farrell is an amazing teacher and coworker. He exemplifies what a middle school teacher is, a great leader and mentor to his students. He always makes sure that his students know he is not only their teacher, but supports them when they need him. He's a great staff member showing support at all GMS activities. One area I'm grateful for his support is FCA, as we co-sponsor it together. I greatly appreciate his support while I'm working towards my ALT certification, as history is my passion. It's an honor to serve alongside Price for the last 2 years. And lastly, Ms. Morrison said, Price is a great coworker. He is always upbeat and positive and keeps things interesting around the middle school. That's an understatement. He is always willing to jump in and help out where needed. Mr. Farrell's dedication to his craft, his students, and our school is evident in everything he does. He's a kind teacher who makes a lasting impression, one lesson, one joke, and one game at a time. Thank you for all you do, Price.
Distinguished Gunner ISD Board, Mr. Martindale, it is a privilege to recognize Mrs. Rachel Smith. Mrs. Smith is a dedicated pre-K teacher at Gunner Elementary whose patience, adaptability, and commitment to her students define her as an exemplary educator. Mrs. Pelfrey noted, if you look up the word patient in the dictionary, you might see a picture of Rachel Smith. She is the very definition of the word when it comes to our students. Mrs. Smith strives to find what works best for each child even if it means using 14 different approaches to teach and support them. Her attention to detail and deep knowledge of pre-K standards make her an invaluable asset to both her students and her colleagues. Mrs. Fazell, her teammate, shared, Mrs. Smith is consistent and calm in the classroom. She is incredibly patient with students who need a little extra, and I really love that about her. She's a great team lead and has been so supportive in welcoming me to pre-K. Her silly socks and fun shoes always make me smile. My favorite thing about Rachel is the compassion she shows her students. Mrs. Smith's positive influence on her students lasts long after they leave the classroom. One of her former students, now a second grader, remembers her fondly. Leighton Foster said, "Mrs. Smith is the best pre-K teacher. I learned how to spell my name and build a lot of things. I love her as my teacher and will always remember her." As a colleague, Mrs. Smith is a supportive and organized team member who listens thoughtfully and offers advice whenever needed. She always prioritizes what is best for her students, and her dedication to the well-being and growth of our youngest learners is a gift to the Gunner Elementary community. Mrs. Smith's positive impact is felt deeply by her students, families, and colleagues, and we are truly fortunate to have her as part of our team. It is our pleasure to recognize her hard work, compassion, and unwavering dedication to our pre-K program.
Thank you. So guys, we'll take a real quick break, just if we can get all the students up here first and get one group picture of the students. And then again, you guys are free to go if you'd like to go. You're more than welcome to stay too. And then after the students, we'll get a group picture of the teachers, and then we'll turn you guys loose as well. So students, guys, if y'all come back up, please. Bring your, if you will, bring your certificate, and you can fold it open, hold it in front of you. You want to slide over here? Come this way, guys. I promise I showered.
Okay, no problem.
Parents, you can get this picture also.
Okay, one more step. There you go. Hold them up. You're just flopping out right now. Hold that down. All right, ready?
Parents part of staff.
All right. Thank you, guys. Congratulations again. Very proud of you. Thank you, Mr. Bell. Okay, thank you, board. Next item is 4B, monthly financial reports, and Ms. Greer, the floor is yours.
All that's hard to follow, but good evening. We'll start out with the statement of positions by fund for the month end October 31st, 2024. On that page, we'll start out with the general fund, and over on the far right-hand corner, or far right-hand column, we'll be looking at the ending market value for each of the funds. So for the 5 general fund accounts, we have the Lamar checking with an ending balance of $2,081,990.46. Then we have the Lamar checking workers' comp account with an ending balance of $134,205.52. Next, we have the Lamar School Fund account with an ending balance of $56,917.32. Next, we have the Lamar General Operating Investment account with a balance of $330.98. And then we have the Techstar General Operating Investment account with the ending balance of $849.47 for total general fund investment accounts of $2,274,293.75. Next, we have the interest and sinking funds accounts. We have two of those. We have the Lamar checking with an ending balance of $161,005.59. And then the Techstar interest and sinking fund with an ending balance of $1,537,738.97. Below that, the next section is our construction funds. We have 7 of the construction funds, and we'll begin with Lamar checking for the 2016 bond. It still has a remaining balance of $19,503.53. We have the Lamar checking 2022 bond with a remaining balance of $837,621.30. Then we have the Lamar checking 2023 bond with an ending balance of $11,264,362.53. And then separate from that, but it is part of the 2023 bond, we have the sweep account, and there is a balance of $10,171,117.77. Then in the Techstar funds, we have 2016 remaining funds of $18,883.65. The 2022 Techstar account has been depleted. And then the Techstar 2023 bond has a remaining balance of $6,998,662.05 for a total combined balance for the bond accounts of $29,310,150.83. Altogether, with our general fund, interest and sinking funds, and the construction funds, we have a total ending balance for October 31st of $33,283,189.14. Any questions on that? Next page, you have, it's kind of just a statement of what we just talked about, but it's just of the investment accounts. So we'll go over those quickly. We have the Lamar General Fund Investment Account with a remaining balance of $330.98. The 3 Lamar checking accounts for the bond with a total balance of $22,273,101.60. Then we have the Techstar bond accounts with a total ending balance of $8,556,134.14. For a total of all of our investment accounts at the very bottom, ending as of October 31st at $30,829,566.72, which that's just basically what we just went over, but it doesn't have our checking accounts counted in there. Next is the property tax collection analysis as of October 31st. There hasn't been much activity in this because we don't start ramping up and collecting the property taxes until December is whenever we'll really start seeing an influx of revenue then. So in the general fund, over on the third column with the numbers, we have our actual year to date. So we'll go over that column. For total tax revenues for our general fund, we have $18,112 collected so far. We have budgeted $7,234,189, but like I said, that revenue won't start flowing in until December time. Next section is the debt service of the $4,755,156 that was budgeted. We've collected so far year to date $10,863. Next, we have our budget summary for the month end of October 31st, 2024. And this is just a look at the budget as it was adopted at the August board meeting for the 24-25 school year. We'll take a look at the revenues first. At the top portion, the second column, we have our budget. We haven't had any amendments to our budget so far, so our total revenues that is budgeted is $13,346.07. Year-to-date collections for our revenues were at $2,105,897 for a percent total of 15.78 collected. The second part of it is the second half of the sheet are the expenditures. Of the $13,960,923 that was budgeted, we have actually spent year to date $2,881,012. We have $738,987 encumbered. So that leaves us a balance so far of $10,340,925, or we're at about 25.93% spent of the budget so far for our general fund. Next is the food service fund. Our budget for the food service is $4,780,156. Year to date, we've collected $23,722. For our expenditures, budgeted was $4,713,106. And this is wrong. I'm sorry. We have 0 year-to-date expenditures for the food service, and that is incorrect. This is a typo on here. I just realized that. But I will get that updated and get that sent out.
Sorry, you're saying there's a payment that's been paid?
I'm sorry. No, that was our debt service. I was thinking food service.
No, you're right.
I said food service in the beginning. This is our debt service.
Debt service, yeah. So we don't make the debt service payments until.
Correct. Until February.
Right.
Yes.
So it'll be 0 until that.
Yes.
Okay.
In my head, I just had it. I was going over food service.
No worries.
Next, we have the food service fund. Budgeted $673,000. Year-to-date revenue collected $143,766. Expenditures, we have $684,982 budgeted. Expenses so far year-to-date $134,730. After that, you just have the bank statement and the special ed co-op in the board book, but I did prepare a little handout sheet. It has some bar graphs on it. And this is just a closer in-depth look of where we are currently for this year. So what I've done on here is it's a year-to-date comparison for the current school year 24-25 compared to 23-24 and 22-23. The blue is reflected for 24-25, orange is the 23-24 school year, and green is the 22-23 school year. And I did 3 years because I thought it was a better look at, tells the story a little bit better because there may be some anomalies just in 1 year. So the first portion is the year-to-date revenue collected. I have it broken out by local, state, and then total. That first local, the itty-bitty bars, because we haven't collected much local revenue so far, you can see everything's right in line there. So far for 24-25, we're at $102,321. Last year was $91,000. The year before was $113,000. So we're right in line with that. Next, we have the state, and there's some differences there. Year-to-date revenue collected for state is $1,994,557. As compared to last year, we were at $2,538,596, and the year before we were a little over $3.3 million. There's an explanation for that. We've received so far revenue of actually what we've brought in. It would be more in line with $2,567 and $2,567,647. But because of the way that we've had to reclass some stuff, we received some money that was due to us from last year. So we had the settle up, and then also our August days, the instructional days in August, we reclass those portions back to 23-24 revenue. And that hasn't been accounted for in the books until the auditors come and do that. But I went ahead and made those adjustments this year before the auditors got here, so they wouldn't have to do that. So we'd have a more in-line look at where our revenue is. So that's why there's a dip in the revenue compared to this year to the years prior. So total revenue, that last little bit on the year-to-date revenue, we're at $2,996,878. But if you add in the settle up of 82,000 and the August 24 instructional days, what I reclassed back to 23-24 school year, that was a total of $490,801. So that gets us right in line with where the other previous revenues look. On the bottom, we take a look at the year-to-date expenditures by object level, and the board approves the budget by function level, but there's a lot going on with the function level. There's the 15, 20 different functions. I think this look as the by object level, which shows the payroll, the contracted services, the general supplies, the miscellaneous operating expenses, the debt and capital expenditures, kind of gives a better overall look. So down there, same thing, blue represents 24-25, orange is 23-24, and green is 22-23. Everything is right in line basically with the previous years, except for payroll. As you know, payroll increases with each year. So that is really the only one that stands out by object level, showing where we are.
Question. So I get the reclass 2024, 25, 23. But does that tell me that there's a huge difference between 22, 23, and even reclass or not reclass to the next year?
Yeah, so that year, I think there was more of a settle up that was given. I think that was the year that there was.
Okay, if you don't, it's all right if you don't, but that'd be something, because I get we're trying to normalize and show, I mean, basically what this shows, even if post the adjustments, the right time adjustment, it's basically showing this point in time, 2 years ago and last year, we collected more from the state, got more from the state than we're getting now. And then the bottom section shows, in general, expenses in total year-to-date have remained, if you look at the total on the far right, have remained relatively consistent year-to-year. But, again, this is a year-to-date view. But the big one to look at is your payroll, which is increasing, not significantly, but it is increasing year-over-year with declining revenues from the state. Is that fair? Okay, fair enough. And you're right, the rest of, other than contract services, I know it's a small increase, but again, it's labor-based, and it's also increasing year-over-year.
It is, and that could be due to coding things differently too. So it's not much,
a small percentage of the overall
yeah.
numbers.
When we have that going up, and then general supplies was down, miscellaneous operating expenses is down. Usually, sometimes the contracted services and miscellaneous operating expenses can kind of go back and forth between where you want to code those expenditures. So,
Mr. Martin, I don't know when our next facility finance meeting is, but this would be good to dig in a little bit more with on the finance committee, that we can come back and have more insights to the board at the next board meeting. This is a good view, and I'm just suggesting, say we add it to the agenda
Absolutely.
for the finance meeting, because again, just trying to understand what's driving some of this is, I think, the board would appreciate, and I would probably need a little more time with the numbers to understand.
Okay.
I like it.
thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Greer.
Thank you.
Moving on to item 4C, board members. First item there is enrollment update. So in your board packet, if you turn to page 42, you'll see there's just a dip of 2 students from October to November. Again, it's that natural up and down roller coaster we see throughout the year.
I do have a question. I couldn't
Yes, sir.
remember, what
budgeted where we ended last year.
Okay,
The
okay.
ADA that we ended with last year, which was, I can give you that number.
It's okay, that's fine. But it's below kind of where we're tracking right now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Bond construction update? No one from,
Kirk could not make it.
okay.
The handout is in your binder. If you'd like, I can give you more details on it. If you just want to look at the handout, you can do that as well.
The only question I was asked, interested party, was that there's a, event scheduled in January, I think.
Yes, sir.
And, for the district, there's some benefits to the district, and I'm just curious if it's going to be ready. So,
I'm only laughing because we ask them that question every time we meet.
okay.
We just had a meeting Tuesday or Wednesday of last week. And we told them this is the date, that needs to be ready. And he said, without any foreseen catastrophes, it should be ready to go.
Okay.
Yes.
I will report back.
Great question. And board members or anyone that wants to see these new facilities, just reach out and we can walk you through them. They're coming along together.
Yeah, HVAC's on at the elementary school. It's on at the gym. The wood floors conditioning. They're gonna start putting the gym floor down Thanksgiving break. Millwork is in at the elementary school. They're gonna get the millwork installed. Next, another coat of paint, floors. They'll shut doors, lock doors, classrooms are ready to go. So we're getting close.
Thank you, Mr. Bell. Any questions, board members? All right. Next is principal reports. Ladies first.
Okay, so first I'll start out with the high school report. So Mr. Barton wanted to communicate that his enrollment is at 366 with a 95% attendance rate. He said thank you to everyone who participated in the Student Council sock drive. In total, GHS students and faculty collected 1,095 pairs of socks. The Student Council reps delivered and collected socks to the Grand Central Station in Sherman, and they're so happy to add them to their shelves. The NHS students have launched their fall project, collecting donation items for Grayson County Crisis Center. The NHS's goal is to have as many items as possible collected by December 6th and to deliver them to the Crisis Center. They're looking for bedding, clothing, laundry supplies, toiletries, household cleaning items, baby care, and simple prepackaged, individually wrapped snacks. In classroom news at the high school, Ms. Mercado's Spanish class began a unit on the Day of the Dead. They created posters that depicted the monarch butterflies and their significance with the Day of the Dead. Mr. Thornhill's world history students went on a scavenger hunt around the high school to identify influences that ancient Greece has had on modern science, math, literature, and culture. Mr. Eaton asked his students to design a protective barrier for an egg, and they were testing out the strength and what they created by playing catch with the egg. Gunner FFA proudly represented the district, represented at the District 3 LDE contest on November 15th. Ag Issues Forum got second place and is advancing to area. Chapter Quiz got second place, advancing to area. Job Interview ended up in 4th place. Radio Broadcasting 6th place. And Creed Speaking 5th place. Area football playoff game is Gunner versus City View. It's Friday at 7 p.m. at Eagle Mountain High School Stadium. Volleyball finished the year with a tough loss to Ponder in the regional final. These amazing young women had a tremendous year and we're extremely proud of their efforts. We had 3 young ladies sign national letters of intent to play in college. Riley Dunn signed for Central Christian for softball. Chloe Johnson signed for Long Beach State for volleyball. And Madison Smith signed Trinity University for volleyball. And then yearbooks are on sale. So buy a Gunner High School yearbook. Okay, for the middle school, our attendance rate is about at 96% right now. Basketball has started, is in full swing. Ms. Colvin and I are gonna leave here and head back over to the girls' basketball game. Boys are playing tonight in Bonham, so hopefully everything's going great. Or no, I don't know where, somewhere. They're playing, girls are playing Bonham, so maybe. We had some GMS committees in action this week. Our staff developed committee work for our campus. Teachers had the opportunity to select a committee to join for the school year, giving them a voice in shaping the direction and activities on campus. These committees play a vital role in fostering collaboration and ensuring that all staff members have a say in key decisions affecting our school community. So we met last week and did some work within our committees. We have a Sunshine Social Committee, a Behavior Discipline Committee, Student Activities Committee, and then Curriculum and Instruction Committee. So our teachers are answering questions, doing some work in that, and then going to bring it back to next staff meeting and hopefully present on those things. So we're excited about that. In classroom happenings, we had World Kindness Day this past Wednesday. Our GMS students embraced the spirit of kindness by participating in this special event. Sticky notes with uplifting messages were placed on every locker, offering words of encouragement and reminders to be kind to one another. Students were then challenged to perform random acts of kindness throughout the day, fostering a sense of community and goodwill. They did a really nice job. It was great. In addition, the middle school band hosted a fun and engaging game night for students. It was full of laughter, pizza, and friendly competition, offering a great opportunity for students to bond and form new friendships within the band program. The event was a huge success, and I have to give all the credit to Ms. Brew. She did an amazing job organizing and executing that fun event for the kids. In our STEM classes, they must have been talking because we were doing egg stuff too. So maybe they all talked about eggs dropping. But our kids built nests, and then they climbed up on a small ladder and dropped them. Not a super tall one, but it was so fun. Their goal was to create the most sturdy nest that could protect the egg from breaking when dropped. After they constructed it with various materials, they tested them, and they were just so excited to see. There was like a bracket, and like kids won, and then they challenged each other. So it was great. But we had some really cool stuff going on this week. So thank you guys.
Thank you.
Alrighty. Okay. Our campus has been thriving with activities that highlight academic growth, community involvement, and creative expression. First and foremost, we celebrated our veterans. Our annual Veteran Day celebration featured a heartfelt musical performance by our third grade students and Mrs. Perez. In addition to the performance at the high school, students performed for the elementary school during the day and held an evening matinee for parents, creating a meaningful tribute to honor the veterans in our community. Field trips and special visitors. We had 2 field trips since our last board meeting. Pre-K visited Preston Trail Farms to learn about agriculture, and 4th graders attended a production of Charlotte's Web, connecting literature to real-life experiences. We were also honored today, actually, to host renowned children's authors, Susan Stevens Crummell, thanks to Mrs. Ginther and the PTO. Her visit inspired a love of reading and storytelling across our campus, and she kind of went through the writing process for kids and talked about how she came up with ideas for her story. Community Helpers Week. Kindergarten students learned about the roles of community helpers, including a visit from Chief Jones, who showcased the inside of a police car and shared insights about being a police officer. Service in Action. 1st grade is leading a service project throughout November, organizing a food drive inspired by one of their mentor texts, Maddie's Fridge. All proceeds will benefit Love Packs, encouraging students to give back to their community. Character development. We had our first Principal 200 winners get a bingo on last Thursday, so we had some students spend today and some will spend tomorrow for a prize, recognizing and reinforcing positive character development among our students. The ones we're highlighting this year are grit, grace, and growth mindset. Academic enrichment and innovation. 3rd graders enjoyed high-touch, high-tech STEM experience, bringing hands-on science learning into the classroom. That was something that 4th grade had done previously, and the other grades will get to do throughout the year. That's PTO sponsored as well. Let's see. Pre-K students dove into the world of coding with Froggy the robot, fostering computational thinking, which is pretty cool to have pre-K students who are getting hands-on with coding at an early age, exposure to that. Also, to further support literacy, we've doubled the number of books students can check out from the library, ensuring that they can continue that silent, sustained reading outside of the classroom. School-wide recognition, like our other campuses this month, the U.S. News and World Report recognized us as one of the best elementary schools in Texas. a testament to the hard work of our student, staff, and community. Festive engagement and creativity. Red Ribbon Week energized our campus with themed dress-up days and lessons about healthy choices. Our teachers survived that. The Storybook Pumpkin Contest brought family creativity to life with festive and imaginative entries adorning our halls. That was very popular. Kids got to vote on that. And Thanksgiving came early with a PTO-hosted feast, fostering family involvement and gratitude. Also, I don't think I mentioned our attendance. Our attendance was 95.53 year to date. We had a couple of lower days, including the day after Halloween, as you can imagine, and the day after the playoff football game. We're both below 90%, so that lowered us a little bit in that area. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Thank you all, principals. Moving to item C4, board members' upcoming events. You can see on the first page of your binder. Nothing unusual there, just upcoming board meetings, but just to point out to you, we've reached that point in the school year where graduation is making the bottom of that upcoming list. So May 22nd will be upon us before we know it. I'll try to hold back the tears when my youngest graduated. Moving on to item 5, board member reports. Team of 8 training, I'm working, I hope, in the next day or so to send you guys out a couple of date options for Team of 8 training so that we can get that done. I would really like for us to maybe get that done before Christmas break. We have a deadline of April before we would have to publish that we didn't get it done. So we have plenty of time, but I'd like to knock that out this semester. We have a few members that need ISO training, so Ms. Watson and I were talking about Team of 8 and ISO being the 2 birds, 1 stone this year, so we can get everyone on the same ISO schedule. We'll be working with Region 10 because their training is part of our administrative package contracted services, so that expense is already covered through our contracted service with them. All that being said, be on the lookout for a couple dates coming to you, and we'll figure out when we can get that done. Communications committee, so as you know, we have a couple different committees we're working with right now, communications being one of those, and Ms. Klunch's done an amazing job. She leads that committee for us. We've reached a point with that committee and an understanding and an agreement within the committee. The agenda is open for anyone to add to it between meetings, and this month we didn't have any new items. So we said, if we don't have new agenda items, we won't meet just to meet. So that was last week, November 12th was that meeting, and we didn't have it because we had no new agenda items. I don't know if there's anything else, Jenny, you'd like to add? Okay. Financial committee, Mr. Martin, just to answer your question, our next meeting, because we do it on a quarterly basis, is Thursday, December 12th. And we'll make sure we have this, and it'd be nice because we can add more time to this chart and see where we stand compared to other years. Facilities committee, it's something we've started. We've had 2 meetings so far. Our last meeting was Wednesday night of last week, where we took the committee through the new elementary. So the purpose of this committee, again, is teachers, administrators, community members. A portion of our bond is earmarked for capital improvements. And so we're working with the cross-section of our community to try to prioritize what do we think those capital improvements are. So we discussed the goal of the committee. The first meeting, second meeting was Wednesday of last week. We walked through the elementary, and the thought was to go through the new elementary and then go toward the current elementary so we can compare. So when we reach that point in time where we need students going back into the current elementary, what does that look like? What do we need to do to that campus? And I don't have any other words to say. We don't want to create the haves and have-nots with 2 completely different campuses. The people that were there last Thursday, they'd all been through the current elementary, so we didn't need to do that. But also in your binder, you'll see I handed out at the end of that meeting facility survey, just trying to get a feel from those people in the committee. Where do you think our current facilities stand? What do you think we need to look at moving forward? So I just wanted to share those with you as board members so you know what that committee's talking about and the topics that are coming up. Calendar committee. This is a hot topic in the community. I think we've got a good approach going right now. We will have our second calendar committee meeting this Wednesday at 5 o'clock. We have, I think, 22, 23 people, again, a cross-section of the community on that. And I think I've been transparent with you guys just to know we are researching a 4-day school week. So you also have those survey results in your binders. If you remember several weeks ago, we sent out a parent survey, a staff survey, and we even sent out a student survey. And I was really, our high school students are pretty sharp because they know how to, we have a lot of lawyers maybe because they know how to work the system. But they got together and they all chose to have a 4-day work week with Mondays off because they think they get Fridays off already. So they were shooting for a 3-day school week, and we just completely voided that response on their survey. But nonetheless, that group of 20 to 22 people, what we have them doing, and they will be presenting on Wednesday night, is researching first student performance. That is our number one priority. If it's not going to help improve or maintain student performance, it's not something we want to do. So student performance is a research topic, student attendance, and then we'll get into teacher attendance, teacher retention, teacher recruitment. The districts they are looking at range from just doing it a couple years to have been doing it for one of the originals that kind of started the 4-day work week. Lavernia, Farmersfield, Terrell, Tioga, and Athens are the districts they're gonna be presenting on. And we'll go from there. So my hope is to come to you at December board meeting with, this is our survey results, this is what the research says, and maybe even a calendar or two, because we'll have a calendar meeting right before our December board meeting. And I will be bringing to you some 4-day options and some 5-day options, because I told them I didn't want to go back to square one if we don't want to go down a 4-day school path. So we can look at those December to vote, or we can send it back to the drawing board, but trying to get where we need to be in this timeline. Yes, sir.
Question on the research that you guys are doing on the 4-day week. What type of information are you going to get or wanting to get from the other school districts? Like what types of?
We're looking at their student performance. So I requested at least go 2 years before they change to a 4-day school week, so we can see what happened with their student performance, what was going on before they changed, and what's going on now that they've changed. So student performance, student attendance, because again, it's essential to our funding right now. That's what and I hope to send out communication to the community. I'm not sure our community is aware that 1 percentage point in our attendance rate would generate over $400,000. And so it's been a problem on Fridays, the last 2 Fridays, just kind of throwing some information out there. Friday before, well, 2 Fridays ago, we had 100 students at the high school absent. And last Friday, we had 107. So you think about what that's doing to our attendance rate, and that's something we need to look at. Because again, 1 percentage, if we went from 95% to 96% attendance rate as a district, it's between $400,000 and $500,000 more that we generate. And I'm afraid our community is not aware of that as much as we check our kids out or don't force them to roll out of bed and get to school. So, or schedule vacations. So, but anyway, so their student performance, their student attendance, what it's done for their teacher attendance, their teacher retention, and a lot of these, it's not just those data points, but these were kind of picked because people in the committee know people in these districts, right. And so they're having conversations too, just in general, like what has that done for teacher morale? What's it done for student morale? What are some of the biggest issues you faced? And one, I think the common one for all districts has been childcare on the day you have off, which we're working on a solution for that. But also, one of my maybe not more popular answers would be, what do we do with our kids next week during Thanksgiving break, or Christmas break, or summer break? So people have plans for the kids, but with that being said, we're working to make sure we can help anyone that needs childcare. So the issues that are out there, the questions that are out there, we're trying to make sure we have those addressed as well. And just for the record, since it's being recorded, I don't care one way or the other. I have said I actually lean towards a 5-day work week because of student performance. But initially, the data we're seeing is it's not hurting it. In some cases, it's helping it. I don't know the answer why that is. Maybe it's teacher morale is higher. So happy teachers create happy students. Learning takes place. Maybe it's a laser focus when a teacher feels like I've only got 4 days to get this across instead of 5. But what you'll see in, I think, almost the majority of these districts, the student performance has gone up. I don't know why.
So it means a longer day in
It
most
does
cases?
mean a longer day.
Surprising.
Yes, it is. So that's why we're trying to look at as much data as possible. It's not just that this is what we want, but is it good for the kids? And that's all the updates I had.
We do have, as you all know, Lisa Marks has just stepped down. She did resign formally from the board, and so right now we're functioning as a team of 7. We can put that on the agenda if we can have further discussion.
That would lead us to item 6, consent agenda.
So that consists of our minutes from October 21st, 2024 meeting, and the bills for GISD and GCSEC. Does anyone wish to pull anything from the consent agenda? Is there a motion to adopt the consent agenda as presented?
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you, board members. Moving on to regular business, item A. It is our MOU, or Memorandum of Understanding with JJAEP, or Juvenile Justice Education Program. What that is the next level of discipline. If we were to send a student to, and that MOU is on page 101. If we were to send a student to DAEP, and beyond that, that required discipline, and then we go to JJAEP. Last year was our first year to partner with that county program. The expense was $7,000. That expense is that cost of $7,000 is rolled over into this year because we did not send anyone. And so the service is paid for. If we unfortunately would need it this year, so we just want to make sure we have our updated MOU with them. And then we would revisit between this school year and next school year whether we wanted to maintain that. But again, this year it's paid for because it just rolled over and covered the expense for this year. So just ask that we approve the MOU so that it's updated for the 24-25 school year.
Is there a motion to approve the memorandum of understanding for the Juvenile Justice Education Program for the 2024-2025 school year?
So moved.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Item B is interlocal agreement for multi-region purchasing cooperative. That's through the service center. If you look beginning on page 111, just that agreement. Essentially, this involves schools participating in child nutrition purchasing cooperative, and some of the benefits which we receive better pricing, higher selection of products, and a higher fill rate. So that helps us keep the costs down and make sure we get what we need for our kids when it comes to child nutrition. And actually, all the way on page 121, you can see what Ms. Rogers selected, the items that we use this cooperative for. And this, just so you know, this is for the 25-26 school year. I believe they had a deadline of February. Yeah, so we're several months ahead of the game, but we know that we use this interlocal purchasing cooperative.
We don't need over car services.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Is there a motion to approve the Region 10 Education Service Center interlocal agreement for multi-regional purchasing cooperative for the 2025-2026 school year? So moved.
Second. Oh, I'll give it to Jim down there. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Next item is our ELL, or English Language Learner Emergent Bilingual Program. And we have Ms. Coleman that's going to present some information for you guys.
I'll read your glasses. Make sure I can see. You have the detailed report in your board packet, so I'm not going to go over everything that we've listed in there, but I do have a presentation that Ms. Hill so amazingly put together for us, and I'm just going to hit the high points, if that's okay with you
That's all right,
guys.
thank you.
So, we use this report to measure the effectiveness of our program. There's so many different moving pieces for this that we pull together every year when we meet for LPAC, and I'll talk more about that in just a second. But the mission of our actual program is to make sure that we're addressing all the needs of our ELL students. I've only been here for a couple of years, and in the classroom one, but then the other two in however many months that I've been in a central admin or administrative position, they're moving here. We're getting them, and it's not all at the beginning of the year, it's after holidays. I attribute that to the fact that we are a community that's so tight-knit, and we serve each other, and that word gets out. And the ones that we are already taking care of and that we have taken care of for, years, they have family that are still, in Mexico, and they let them know that if you come here, they will take care of your babies. And so I really think that that's the biggest, point for us, is that they're moving here because, we're taking care of them. We couldn't do it without Elizabeth Mercado and Heather Hale. This is only my second year in the ESL coordinator position. I'm ESL certified, but that takes on a different role when you're in charge of it. It's your name on those state reports. So, I couldn't do it without Ms. Mercado and Ms. Hale. Our program serves pre-K through 12th, so we've got little babies all the way up to our 12th grade. I will tell you that we don't have near as many high schoolers as we've had in the past. They're able to phase out of this in their testing, their TELPAS test, which is an annual test they have to take every year. We do practice for those. It's difficult for some of our kids nowadays because that test is encompassing listening and doing what you hear, speaking, and reading and writing. And one of the main things, I'm going totally off script here, but while I'm in that, I'm going to go ahead with it. One of the major things that we have that is keeping our kids that don't test out of that TELPAS is the speaking. blows my mind as a middle school person because they do it a lot of speaking in the halls and in class and the cafeteria, but they don't want to do that with their peers when they're in that smaller environment to test, because they have to speak into a microphone and sometimes they don't speak loud enough, and so it doesn't register on their test, and we don't know until we get those test results back. We had several babies this year that they were so close and the speaking was the only thing that kept them from testing out of ESL. And so we're really trying to work on that. Elizabeth and I have been talking about restructuring our testing and maybe doing it in multiple days as opposed to 6th grade this day, 7th grade that day, just to try to accommodate and put them further away from each other and a lower amount of kids in the room at the same time. We think we can get, the deadline met, the state deadline for getting everything, that the writing samples and everything we need in for that. But we really want those kids to phase out because they're doing so well. And if it's the speaking, that's the only thing keeping them in it, then that's our problem. Like, we've got to adjust and we've got to figure out a way to make that a better setting for those kids. Like I said, the LPAC committee is composed of myself, Ms. Mercado. We have a very, very sweet bilingual parent who has been part of the LPAC before I came along. She has children in our district, and she is a wealth of knowledge, and she brings a different perspective when we meet on these kids and we take the TELPAS data and the teacher feedback. She's able to give a parent's perspective on what that looks like in the home, if there's a cultural issue that maybe we're not understanding, that she can bring that to our attention. It's a great committee, and we're very data driven, which I love because I'm a spreadsheet nerd. So we get in there and we go through every child in this district and talk about them and what's best for them, and if it's not working, what can we do to fix that? Let's do snapshot data. Look at you, you knew where I was going. So we've got a couple of slides up here for our snapshot. So to break it down by our EVs by programs, we've got 91, and those are our ESL students, pre-K through 12. And this is just a combination of like ELA, math, science. They're being serviced in all of those areas by ESL certified teachers. We did do a waiver for 2 teachers this year. So it's a much better number than we were at last year. We had several teachers that did go over the summer and they got their certification. I will tell you that test is a booger. It is so hard. Literally, I took the whole entire 4 hours sitting there with that test. It is very, very in-depth, and it really goes back to like kindergarten and 1st grade phonetic skills. And if you aren't certified in those areas, it is very difficult. Those questions are set up to where it's hard unless you know your stuff. We've got 2 that have been parent denials, and I went to Region 10 for this, for the annual update. Now the state of Texas has said that regardless if those parents do not want their children in our ELL program to where they're getting services and things, now the state of Texas says that we can go ahead and give those students accommodations regardless. Because if that's what's best for their learning and their success, we don't need a parent to sign off on that anymore. We just can't service them through the pull out or push in that we do at the elementary and the middle school. That's the only thing the state says we cannot do, but we still can meet on those kids and get them accommodations.
Is there a reason, do you know why a parent would opt out?
Yes.
Do you have any idea?
Because I'm curious, and I'm really close to one of those parents, and I just asked. I said, why would you not want your child in this program? And they just don't want it. They said, I think the answer she gave me kind of equated to a parent that denies special ed services. It's a label. And so it's also cultural in a way. Education is not at the forefront like it is for a lot of us. And so it's more like a label. And that's a low number. I mean, larger districts will have tons of parents that are like, my kid's not getting that. So I was really excited at that Region 10. I think I even, yahoo, like in the middle of the presentation, like we can still give them those accommodations and we don't need the parents to say that we can't. So yeah, a total of 93. Yes, and thank you. That's a big deal. They have to take TELPAS now anyway. So the parents cannot say that they can't. Now, if they keep them out of school, like some parents will do with STAR testing, you know, we have to offer it again the next day, but then when the cutoff line is here, then they don't test it, and then we would just have to enter in no test for that. What was next? Okay. Long-term ELs, English proficient, reclassified, and monitor student numbers. So we have no long-term. Is that correct on that?
That's based on the data that we have.
Okay. And like I said, the older the students are getting, especially the ones that are coming from Mexico and have never been in a program before, like Gunner is their first stop in the United States, those students tend to spend a lot longer. Some of the ones I know too for sure, they were students at the middle school and have since moved up to the high school. And I mean, no English at all. And now they are just doing so well. And it's that speaking part. If they'll just speak a little louder, I think they could get out before they graduate. And then reclassified students at the end of the school year, we can reclassify an ED out of dual language or ESL education if the student is able to participate equally along the board in all of their content area classes. We do have a male student at the middle school. He came to us with no English. He'd been to Salina for, I want to say 5 or 6 months, I think, and he was in a bilingual, like a true bilingual class there where they do English Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and, you know, Spanish Tuesday, Thursday. And he is just right along with his classmates right now. I mean, he is really, when he came, we presented him English and Spanish of everything, and then let him test in English, test in Spanish until we started to see where it started, you know, leveling out a little bit. And so now he's taking everything in English. We have 7 monitored students. So those are students that they have passed through the program and they have been able to pass TELPAS and they're doing great, but we don't just, you know, send them on their way. We still check in with them. So we're still talking to those teachers. We let them know that they're being monitored. If they need us, they can contact us. That would be when we would go back to LPAC if there was something that happened, like if the student was in a car accident, had a traumatic brain injury, or, you know, where we would have to go back and re-enter them into the program. But so far, I mean, we're just monitoring kids and they're doing great. LTELs, we've got 26 long-term English learner students. That means that they've been in a program, either with us or somewhere else, a total of 6 years. I will tell you that if a student, I call them double-dipped, if they are an ELL and they are receiving special ed services, they will not phase out of the program. They will go all the way through 12th grade. It's just very difficult if once they get both and they get our accommodations and then there is an academic need, a disability, and they get term sped, they just will not test out. And the state prefers that we just leave them with those accommodations all the way through. Our enrollment data, we have is that 1156? Is that still after Thanksgiving? That'll be 1157.
It was as of when we did.
Talked to a parent today. That'll be 1157. Middle school's getting one on December 2nd or whatever. Non-English learners, there's 1,063, and we have 93 emergent bilinguals, and that number, like I said, is continuing to grow. Is that it? No, I got to talk about Lexia. Lexia is a program that originally came to Heather via dyslexia. And then as her and Jenny Bullard began looking at that program, Heather realized that it had another component to it that was just made for ELL students. And so she was able to secure the resources for us to where we got enough seats where the dyslexia kids are benefiting from that, and then the ELL component. Elizabeth and I have our kids at the middle school and the high school for sure. I know she's using it at the elementary as well. But any downtime, like when they finish assignments, I've communicated to those teachers, they need to be on Lexia. The data shows is it 20 minutes?
Yeah, it's 20 minutes, 20 minutes of,
I think it would, yeah,
I think it's
that they
20 or
need to
30.
be on it to show any kind of improvement. And there's formative assessments built into that application. It's interactive. The kids don't seem to mind. And Elizabeth Mercado comes, and we have a special group of ELLs in middle school that she pulls to make sure, it's boys, to make sure they get on the Lexia when they're supposed to, because they were the ones that were right on the cusp of passing. And we're thinking this Lexia program will be that little extra push to get them out before they get to high school. So, and we've done professional development, and then I'll be through. Professional development trainings on sheltered instruction and ELPS trainings to assist our gen ed teachers. But again, so many of us are certified, and then so many more went and got certified. So there's so much, we can support each other with that. And then the teachers know, who they can come to if they want to talk about. I mentor several teachers on the campus, and that's one thing we always look at is their roster to see who's in there and then what they could do on the side as far as differentiation for those kids. So, didn't even need no Raiders that long.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank y'all. I'm heading back to the middle school.
So board
I mean,
members,
to the high school.
as you heard, a lot of highlights of our plan. You see it's there in your binder. Moving forward, this is an annual report and approval that we'll need for this plan. So, starting this year and then each year, moving forward, you'll see this information and have to approve this plan.
Is there a motion to approve the English Language Learner or ELL Emergent Bilingual Program evaluation for 2024-2025?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you, board members. Item D, Ms. Colvin referred to this. We have 2 teachers in the district that are servicing ELLs or English language learners that have not obtained their ESL certifications. And so we have to submit a waiver, board approved a waiver to TEA for those 2 teachers. Not to call them out, I know they're working on this. Ms. Avalle, who teaches kindergarten, is one, and the other is Mr. O'Neill, who is 8th grade ELA teacher. They're both working on those ESL certs. But since they have those ELLs in their class and don't have that certification, again, we have to approve this waiver.
Is there a motion to approve filing an ELL certification waiver with TEA?
Second.
Okay.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you. Item E, I believe is an annual thing that we do every year, and that is resolution casting votes to elect candidates to serve on the Grayson Central Appraisal District. I reached out to a couple of our neighboring districts, and they were all sticking with the same person that I think we've stuck with for many years, and that's Mr. Charlie Williams. More than a decade. There we go.
Is there a motion to approve the superintendent's recommendation to cast all votes for Charlie Williams to serve as the Grayson Central Appraisal District Board?
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you.
Item F is resolution for the special ed co-op. So they kept in their budget for this year the retention stipend that we have given in the past years. She asked that we approve this resolution so that they can give that to their employees. I think it's fitting. I'm excited. I'm sad for our employees, but excited for the co-op employees because when we go back and look at it, those co-op employees have not received the same percentage raises that our teachers have received over the last couple of years, which for our employees it's been 7% over the last 2 years, and the co-op has not done that. That's maybe why they still have room in their budget for the retention stipends. So.
Is there a motion to approve the resolution for the Grayson County Special Education SSA to pay a retention stipend to their staff?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. And the board will now adjourn into executive session pursuant to the following sections of the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Section 551.072 to discuss land, and Section 551.074 to discuss personnel, and Section 551.076 to discuss safety. Actually, the time is 7:36. We are reconvened at 8:08. Is there a motion to approve the resolution delegating authority to the superintendent or designee to negotiate, finalize, and execute a purchase and sale agreement for the district to sell the city of Gunner, Texas, a 1-acre tract located at the northwest corner of 6th Street and Little Elm Creek Road in the city of Gunner, Grayson County, Texas?
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And seeing that we have no further business, we stand adjourned at 8:09.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Thank you, you too.